question today. How were so many people able to storm inside the U.S. Capitol building? Several of President Trump's supporters stayed out late into the night, even after a mandatory 6 p.m. curfew took effect. Our Nicole D'Antonio has been live outside the Capitol all morning long. Nicole, what are you seeing right now? Actually, we can hear police sirens behind you.
Hey, Annie, that's right. We moved to, the west side of the Capitol here, where we saw, a large number of police, armored vehicles, National Guard out here. So, this is what we've been seeing overnight, but as we've been saying all morning, it stayed relatively calm. Right now where we're standing, we are on the front steps of the Capitol here, where it's hard to believe in just 2 weeks we will be covering the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden, and that's what this week was supposed to be about. Instead, it turned into a violent and even deadly night here on Capitol Hill. Take a look at this video here. As we've been saying, 14 police officers were injured in all of this, more than 50 people arrested. We know that one woman was shot and killed. 3 others suffered medical emergencies, in all of this and in these pictures that we are going to be looking at for years to come. And as you said, we have many questions that we're still asking this morning, including how did this happen? What security was in place to prevent this from happening and to prevent it from happening again? And, now with this curfew lifted, where do we go from here? So at 6 o'clock this morning, that curfew was just lifted. We're hearing more sirens as we have occasionally throughout the day. But, one thing we did want to mention from a traffic perspective, we have seen over the course of the last couple hours, they've been lifting these barriers slowly, clearing the way for traffic to keep moving through this area. But there's still a lot of road closures all around the Capitol Hill area. So, try to avoid this area if you can. And guys, we're going to continue to keep an eye on it from out here. Guys.
Our Nicole D'Antonio has been live outside the Capitol all morning long. Nicole, what are you seeing right now? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Well, when you talk about the extent of law enforcement out here today, I want to step out of the way and show you. So this is all Virginia State Police making their way right in here to the Capitol building within 30 minutes of that curfew being lifted. So the line stretches all the way down the road here. We've seen this line working their way in for several minutes now. And as I look down past this intersection, the line keeps coming. There's armored vehicles here. We see Virginia State Police. And again, all making their way into the district. Their lights are going as it's now 6:30, just 30 minutes after that curfew lifted. So, all this just started a couple minutes ago. We're going to continue to watch this very closely. But throughout the morning, it stayed relatively calm out here. Now, it was a very different picture just inside this Capitol behind me. In fact, you can see the lights are still on there after a very, very busy night where lawmakers finished counting those electoral votes, affirming Joe Biden's victory as the next president of the United States. And this after a violent and a deadly night where 14 police officers were injured, more than 50 people arrested. We know that one woman was shot and killed and 3 others suffered a medical emergency. Images that we've been seeing come out from inside of this Capitol building show some of these mobs of looters storming the building, breaking windows, rushing past police. And this morning, that's one of the big questions that police are being asked is how did this happen? Who's at fault? And, why was the security not prepared? Now, this curfew was, in place from 6 o'clock last night. Again, it just lifted, so do be aware if you're going to be down in this area. We have seen a number of road closures. This is a perfect example of just how busy it is down here in the D.C. area. So even at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's been very busy. If you don't need to be downtown, we don't recommend it. And guys, we're going to continue to keep an eye on this. Again, all these police officers just showed up here in the past 5 minutes or so. So we're going to continue to monitor it and bring you updates.
Our Nicole D'Antonio has been live outside the Capitol all morning. Nicole, what are you seeing right now?
Well, the good news is that it's relatively calm. We've seen a lot of police out here, but I do want to give you a sense of where we're standing right now. So directly behind me, you can see, the steps of the Capitol here. That is where in just 2 weeks, we're going to be covering the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden. And that's what this week was supposed to be about. It was supposed to be about counting those electoral votes. Instead, it became a day of violence and even death. Now, right now, we're standing, and in part because of all this, I want to show you the enhanced security out here. So you can see the roads are blocked off. Police are here. They stretch all the way down the road here. We've circled the Capitol numerous times. We've seen National Guard members. We've seen Virginia State troopers. We've seen local law enforcement all in this area trying to keep everyone safe. Now, it may have been calm outside, but just inside of that building behind us, that was a very, very busy night overnight. That's where lawmakers counted those electoral votes, affirming that Joe Biden would be our next president of the United States. But again, all of this comes after, 4 people died. One person died, who was shot and killed. The other 3 had medical injuries, 14 officers injured, more than 50 people arrested in all of this. The images that we've seen showing mobs of looters storming in the building, breaking the windows, passing by police officers, images that most Americans could never have imagined seeing in our nation's capital and in one of the most secure buildings in one of the most secure cities. Now, that curfew just lifted at 6 o'clock this afternoon. And, I also want to mention that there's a lot of road closures in this area. This is just one intersection where we saw police out blocking this road earlier this morning. That has since been cleared. But do want to give you a heads up that there are a lot of road closures in this area. And again, a lot of law enforcement here, just making sure that everything stays calm and peaceful throughout the day. Guys.
It is a much different scene down at the U.S. Capitol today than what we certainly saw yesterday. Nicole D'Antonio joining us right now. Nicole, you've been out there all morning long, and we just heard from the Secretary of the Army saying that they're going to be really flooding the Capitol with all of these guardsmen, about 850 that should be there as of this hour, as well as new fencing as well.
Well, that's what we've been seeing all morning. There's been so many law enforcement officers that have been out here just trying to keep everything safe. If you want to follow me over here, you can see the fencing that is just going up. They've been doing this over the last couple hours. And over on the side here, you can see the crews that have been working to try to put up piece by piece this fencing. We're told this will be up through the inauguration. And if this looks familiar to you, this is the same sort of fence that we saw just around the White House over the summer. And we're hearing from Mayor Bowser that this is going to remain up through the inauguration. Now, you mentioned those police officers. Take a look at this video here. Just before 7 o'clock this morning, we saw hundreds of Virginia State troopers making their way into the District of Columbia. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam saying that he wanted to help give additional assistance. So he was sending in the Virginia National Guard as well as 200 state troopers to assist with anything that the district may need. Now, this comes after a violent and a deadly night. 4 people died. 1 woman was shot and killed. 3 medical emergencies we're waiting to learn more on that. We know that 14 police officers were injured, and just this afternoon, we learned from police that almost 70 people were arrested between Wednesday afternoon and Thursday morning, including 1 minor. So back here live, I just want to give you another look at crews working to get everything ready as they put up the fence piece by piece. They've been doing this for a couple hours now, surrounding the Capitol with that non-scalable fencing is what they are calling it. And, Larry, we are now just 2 weeks away from the inauguration, where we will be here covering the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden. That's what this week was supposed to be about. And we are going to continue to follow this story. But Larry, what I keep hearing again and again, this is a day that so many people here will never forget.
No doubt, indeed. And we do know that what we're seeing now in terms of the response from police is really just only the beginning. The Secretary of the Army saying that 6,200 guardsmen will be in the region by the weekend. Nicole D'Antonio, thank you so much.